Calm loud, not dramatic, just quiet enough to sit in your chest and refuse to leave. There's a feeling that shows up when you least expect it. A slow, steady ache that settles in when you look around and realize the world didn't slow down just because you did. It doesn't knock, it just appears. Sometimes it comes when you see a photo online. Someone you used to sit next to in class smiling next to a promotion banner, a new home, or a baby wrapped in a blanket. Sometimes it shows up in a simple question from someone who means well. So, what are you doing these days? And suddenly you're aware of the pause before you answer. That's when the word shows up late. It doesn't just talk about time. It talks about direction, about the quiet fear that maybe you missed a turn everyone else somehow saw clearly. You start remembering all the plans you once spoke about so easily, all the things you thought would just happen naturally if you kept moving forward. You remember saying, "I've got time." You remember believing it. But now the years feel less like steps and more like pages that flip too fast. You look at where you are and it feels unfinished, like a room you meant to organize but never fully did. You tell yourself you should have known more by now. You should have started earlier. You should have figured things out already. The word late wraps around your thoughts like a heavy coat you didn't choose to wear. And the longer you keep it on, the harder it feels to move. You don't stop trying, but every step forward feels smaller, quieter, like it doesn't count the same way it used to. And that's when doubt starts whispering that maybe you missed your moment. We grow up surrounded by stories about people who figured it out early. The ones who seemed to know exactly what they wanted and went after it without hesitation. Those stories are everywhere. They're easy to see, easy to remember, and easy to compare yourself to. It starts to feel like life is supposed to follow a clear schedule. Study by this age, build a career by that age, have everything settled soon after. And when your life doesn't match that pattern, it feels like you made a mistake somewhere along the way. But what we don't talk about enough is how different every path really is. Think about how many things in nature grow at different speeds. Some plants bloom quickly, bright and early. Others take years before they even begin to show their strength. And neither one is wrong. They're just different. People aren't meant to move in perfect sync either. But when you scroll through updates and milestones, it's easy to forget that. You start comparing your everyday reality to someone else's highlight moments. You don't see their uncertainty. You don't see the long nights where they questioned everything. You just see the result. And slowly, the idea forms that you're behind. Not because you failed, but because you measured your life using someone else's clock. You start to believe that progress only counts if it's visible, if it looks impressive from the outside. But some of the most important growth happens quietly, in ways no one else can see. The problem is, quiet growth doesn't get celebrated the same way. So it's easy to overlook it. It's easy to think nothing is happening at all. The truth is, very few people move through life in a straight line. Most paths are full of turns, pauses, and moments that feel like standing still. But standing still doesn't always mean you're stuck. Sometimes it means you're learning things you couldn't have learned any other way. Think about all the experiences that don't look impressive on paper but change you quietly. The challenges that made you more patient. The mistakes that taught you what you don't want. The slow days that forced you to sit with your thoughts longer than you wanted to. Those moments don't feel important while they're happening, but they shape how you see the world. They shape how you see yourself. It's easy to call those years wasted when you look back quickly. But if you look closer, you might see something different. You might see preparation. Every setback, every delay, every moment of uncertainty added something to you, even if you didn't realize it at the time. You learned how to keep going when things didn't go your way. You learned how to sit with discomfort. You learned what truly matters to you and what doesn't. That kind of understanding doesn't come from rushing. It comes from living. So maybe you didn't start as early as you thought you should have, but you didn't start empty either. You started with experience, with perspective, with a clearer sense of what feels right and what doesn't, and that changes everything. Because starting later doesn't mean starting weaker. Sometimes it means starting wiser. There comes a moment when you realize the pressure you've been feeling didn't come from time itself. It came from comparison, and the moment you stop comparing, something shifts. The weight feels lighter, the urgency softens. The fear of being late starts to lose its power. You begin to understand that life isn't a race happening on a single track. It's millions of paths moving in different directions at different speeds. And yours doesn't have to look like anyone else's to be valid. You didn't fail because you took longer. You didn't fall behind because your story unfolded differently. You simply lived at your own pace. And when you accept that, you stop seeing your journey as delayed. You start seeing it as personal. There's a quiet kind of peace that comes with that realization. Not excitement, not relief, just calm. The kind of calm that reminds you that you're still here, still capable of choosing what comes next. Your story didn't end because it didn't follow the timeline you imagined. It just took a different route. And different doesn't mean wrong. So, if you've been carrying that feeling, the one that whispers you should be further along by now, maybe it's time to question it. Maybe being late isn't a failure. Maybe it's just a reminder that life doesn't move in perfect order. You are not a missed opportunity. You are not a delayed version of someone else. You are a person who took the time you needed, whether you meant to or not. And that time shaped you into someone who understands things you couldn't have understood any earlier. You didn't fail. You just started when you were ready to truly begin.